Hi guys, this is Fiona from Lavender Blue, and today I'm back with a really cute little project, and this is our Freebie Friday printable in the Facebook group. It's called Lavender Blue Group, and I will link it below for those of you who've not yet joined. Every Friday I have a free printable, and then I make a video and we make something with it. So today, this is what we're going to make, and what it is a little affirmation pocketbook, and the paper is from one of my latest printables, which are hand-painted papers which I've painted mostly using my jelly plate. So these are mixed media papers, and which are printable, and I've called them Springtime. That's right, yeah, they're Springtime, and I'll also link those below if you're interested. So anyway, with the printable, you get the little envelopes and you get the little cards and words and everything, and I'm going to show you how to put this together. So this is what it looks like. I've called it All Is Well, and that's the back. And then inside we have these little pockets with little tags, and they all have a little affirmation on them. So affirmations are words that you say to yourself to affirm that feeling, and affirmations are very healing. I'm a huge believer in the power of the mind and the power of thought. So if you say things to yourself like, I am loved, and you say it over and over in your mind, the more you say it, the more you will actually feel loved and know that you're loved, because we all are loved by somebody. So there's these little affirmations that you can say to yourself, and then the other side of the card is blank, so you could possibly write about that affirmation and what it means to you, or you could write the affirmation over and over on the back of the page. It's just something to look at when you need some positive thought. And it would make a wonderful gift for somebody. A great gift, or something for you to keep to yourself, for yourself, and look at when you feel you need to. So the next one is I am strong. And the next one is I am enough. And then we've got I am at peace. I am safe. And the last one is I am blessed. So that's the little affirmation mixed media pocketbook. So now I'm going to show you how to make this. So let's get started. Okay, so before we start on making our Freebie Friday, I just wanted to explain to you about the printing, of how you print it out, because what you will get in the Facebook group, the files that you will get 4 files, 4 JPEG images which are uploaded, and those 4 are, let me just take that one out. So you'll get this one and this one. So there's 4 different pockets. So what you need to do is you need to print one each of the 2 pages, and then you'll need to print one of them twice because we need 6 pockets. So we've got 4 pockets, which I printed onto some light cardstock. And then just choose whether you want to print this one again or that one again. And what I've done is printed this one again. So now we've got 6 pockets. So that's that one. And then you just print out one copy of this page with the words and the affirmation cards that go inside. And then you'll get this one. Now this one is for our cover. It's to cover the cover of the booklet. So print this one on ordinary printer paper. It's any thin ordinary printer paper. So don't print this one onto cardstock. Okay, so I hope that was clear. So let's get on with the project. So I've cut out all my little pockets and I'm starting out just scoring on the fold lines so that I can fold them all together. Now I've filmed the whole process, so it's quite a long video. But it is sped up to double time, twice the time. So, but I haven't missed any steps. I haven't missed anything. So you see the complete process. So you can follow along and just pause the video as you need. So just scoring all my lines, and I do start out initially I left the little flap at the top of the pocket on, but you'll see towards the end that I decide to cut those off, and I use them as little tabs on the note cards, on the affirmation cards. But you can leave them on if you want to and do it a different way. You know, there's many different ways you can do this and decorate and put it together. But I'm just giving you an idea roughly how it goes together, and this is the way that I did it. So I'm just burnishing my folds. And before I glue them together, I got out my circle punch to punch the little half circles in the pockets. And mine is a 3/4 of an inch punch. So that just makes it easier for the little cards to be pulled in and out of the pocket. And I hadn't made this before I filmed it. This is the first time making it, so you'll see me sort of trying different things out and kind of, you know, just made it up as I went along, which is often just the way that I work. I have an idea in my head and then I just go for it, and it just, you know, works out in the end. Sometimes I find that's the better way for me because I've got a bad habit of procrastinating, and the more I procrastinate, the less I get done because I'm too busy thinking about how I'm going to do it. And sometimes I just say to myself, no, just get in and do it. That's the only way you're going to get it done. So that's the way I try to go. So I'm inking around all the edges now, and I'm actually using a black ink because I like the grunginess of this. And I'm also going to be doing some stamping on top of the mixed media pages. And I'm going to be doing that in black ink. So, I use the black ink all the way around. So now I'm just gluing the little pockets together. Just inking around them where there's any white paper showing. And as you can see, I'm just using a little makeup sponge with my black ink. I'm just using a little glue pen. I can't quite remember where I got it from. I've got a feeling it may have been Officeworks here in Australia. And it's just a little liquid glue pen. And it's quite good for paper. It holds pretty well. Once it's dry, you do have to wait for it to go tacky and to dry. But once it is dry, it's a pretty good glue. So this is the bit that takes up most of the time. Folding them and then inking all your edges takes time. But inking the edges just defines everything, and it does look a lot neater and a lot better to get rid of the white around the edges. Just ties everything in together. So now I'm also inking around the little cards. And so now it's time to do some stamping. And that's all I'm going to do for decoration on this paper. So I've chosen a dictionary stamp, and it's one that I got from Stampin' Up. And I've had it for quite a few years, so I'm not sure if they still have it or not. But I'm not stamping over the whole thing. I'm just choosing little areas. And so what I'm doing is just adding some texture into the background. So if you have a little word stamp, or a writing one, or a dictionary one like mine, or even just a little textured pattern, that's a good way to add just some interest to the background. And then I'm using another stamp from Kaiser Craft, and it's just a kind of a little background one as well. It's got like it's kind of a lattice pattern, and then it's got some little butterflies on it. So I just wanted to add a bit of extra pattern. And I'm adding the dictionary stamp to the cards also. But you can decorate them however you want. You might want to add a bit more paint, or maybe play around with some paint pens or some pastels, some markers. Any way you want to decorate the papers. So now I'm just using this other stamp to add a bit more interest. So that's the beauty of these mixed media papers. They're really kind of like backgrounds. So you can work over them, and you can use them for collaging, obviously, and things like that as well. Okay, so we need some binding for our book. So what I do next is I'm scoring the end of the pockets, the end that's not open. I'm scoring it 1 centimetre in from one end, and we're going to be punching holes on that little bit. So 1 centimetre in from the edge, which is roughly, no, it might be just over 1/4 of an inch, just under 1/2 an inch. Just making sure they're lining up. And my tummy's rumbling here. I hope you can't hear my tummy rumbling. I apologise if you can. I must be getting hungry. Okay, so I've made my little binding strips. And now I'm just going to measure where to punch the holes. I'll just gluing that one down because the glue didn't hold. I didn't wait long enough for the glue to dry on that one. So I'm measuring on my cutting mat the width, and it was 7 centimetres. So I make a mark at 2 centimetres and 5 centimetres, and that's where I'm going to punch my holes. Two centimetres and 5 centimetres. So now I'm using my crocodile. I'm using the largest hole. And I'm just punching where I've made my marks. And my paper kept getting stuck in the hole there. Now I didn't add rings, what are they called? I didn't add any eyelets to my holes, but you can do that. You can do that as well. I just thought for time's sake, this video was getting pretty long, so I left out the eyelets, but that would make a really nice touch. And I think, as I'd mentioned before, my crocodile was gifted to me by one of my lovely design team members, Nicole. And thank you so much, Nicole. It's a lovely gift. I'm getting a lot of use out of the crocodile. So that's my holes punched. And I think next it's time to add the words. Oh no, sorry, I'm going to make the cover now. So we want a front and back cover, so you'll need some scrap pieces of cardboard. And I have an old box here, some packaging. So I measured the length of the pocket and they are 10 centimetres. So I'm going to cut two rectangles, which measure the same as the pockets, and that's without the flap. So two pieces at 10 centimetres by 7 centimetres. And then you want to cut another two pieces for the inside of those cover pieces. And I must be going to cover these first. Or do I cut the inside pieces now? Yeah, I'm just measuring, working out how big I want them to be. So I ended up cutting them a centimetre smaller all the way around. So, and that's a centimetre on both edges. So they ended up being 5 centimetres by 8 centimetres. Yeah, 5 by 8, and they'll go on the inside. So I'm just covering the outside pieces. And just miter your corners. So I'm just cutting almost to the corner, but not fully. Otherwise, you'll find that your corner won't be covered properly. So you'll have a hole there. So just cut almost to that corner. And then, cut them at an angle. And gluing down my piece of paper. And this is why I said it would be better to print this out onto normal copy paper, not onto cardstock. You could do it onto cardstock. You'd end up with a sturdier cover. But I just thought, it would be easier for folding it for your cover. It might be a little bit too bulky, I'm not sure, but it may not. So you could try with some cardstock too. So now, as I said, we want to cover up the inside. And you could just use a piece of paper, but to make it a bit more sturdy, I cut these little pieces of cardboard as well. And they measure, as I said, 5 by 8 centimetres. Sorry if you can hear a bit of noise in the background. My neighbours have got their kids playing outside, so they're just laughing and playing, but I hope it's not too noisy. And then I just glue that down to the inside like that. Inking it up just to keep in with the theme. So when we've glued our inside covers, we also need to score 1 centimetre from the end for our binding and punch the holes in the same way. Again at 2 centimetres and 5 centimetres. And for the covers, I decided to use a different stamp. I've had this little roller stamp for a long time. It's got kind of a floral pattern on it, and so I'm just using it to make a bit of texture onto the background. I haven't actually used it very much, so I wanted to try it out. More inking. So now I'm adding the words to my cover, and this is the title, All Is Well. So I'm just cutting it down to the size that I want, and you can cut these words apart if you want to, and just have them as separate words. And I didn't want the background just white, so I used some ink that I had, which was called, I can't remember the name, but yeah, it's one of the blue ones from Tim Holtz Distress Inks. So I did that, and then I went around again with black around the edge. So I'm just going to glue that down. And now I want to make it stand out a little bit more, so I'm going all the way around that word with this is a water-soluble graphite pencil, and then I'm using my water brush just to activate that. But you could use a black watercolour pencil, anything else that's water-soluble, and do the same thing. Now I'm coming in with my white Posca pen, which is a white paint pen, and I want to put some little dots around the edge. Haven't used it for a while, so I was just trying to get it to work. And what I did was yeah, there you go, you can see that big splodge there, that big splodge of white. Because I tried to get it working on my cover instead of, you know, off the page, I ended up with a big blob there. So, but I ended up fixing that later on. I just wiped it off and then came back in with my pencil and did that again, and then went over with the white dots again. Now I was trying to decide whether I wanted the flaps folded or whether I wanted to leave them open. You could do either, but I actually end up cutting them off later on. So now I'm going to do the words for my little cards, and I do them in the same way as I did the cover. I didn't realise I was out of the camera frame, so I'm sorry about that. But I just, did exactly the same thing as the cover, and then I ended up going around the edges again with the pencil, the water-soluble graphite pencil, and added white dots around there. Sorry about my phone going off. I'm actually recording this on my phone, and so because I'm recording the voiceover, I can't have the volume turned down. I don't think I can. So yeah, I'm sorry about the the pinging going off now and then. Okay, so I just go around the edges of these words the same as I did on the cover. So this is a white Posca pen, and this time I'm getting it to work on a separate piece of paper. Just trying to get my pen to work there, my paint pen. So I think this is where I'm deciding whether I want to leave those envelopes open or closed, or whether I want to cut them off. You can do it any way that you prefer. So I decided to cut them off, but I didn't throw them away. I used them to make little tabs on the cards. So I just played around and saw what it, to see what it looked like, and thinking of different ways of adding the tabs. So I didn't think that looked quite right with the angle on the ends there. So what I did was I cut them down. So I just cut the edges off to where it starts to curve. So I just cut, off a little bit off each end to where you can see it just starts to curve, and then you end up with more of a rectangle. So I just glued my little tabs on. I thought about stapling them, and then I thought, no, I'll glue them on. And of course, another way you can decorate this little booklet or put it together is you can always sew around the edges as well of the little cards and the little booklet, the covers even. But I didn't do any sewing because it's a bit difficult for me to get my sewing machine under my tripod setup where I'm filming. So I just glued it all together. Now if you notice on that card, the last one, I've got 2 holes punched in it. That actually wasn't intentional. It was just when I repunched some of the holes in one of my pockets, I had to repunch the holes, and I didn't realise I had the card inside. So that's why that one's got the holes there. So now I'm thinking about the binding, and I wanted to use book rings, but I only had the large ones. So I did try it out to see what it would look like, but I decided it was much too big. But if I'd have had some smaller book rings, I probably would have used those. So I decided against that idea, and I end up using this pretty blue ribbon. But if you do have some book rings, you know, the smaller ones, that's a great idea. That's how I wanted to do it. And then you could you could tie your ribbon, your lace, your fibres, and even some little charms to your book rings. So I left the ends long initially, and I was just going to tie a little knot and let them hang down. But I just didn't like the way they were sitting. I tied a bow. So then I ended up cutting them shorter and just tying a small bow. And I didn't tie it too tightly. I tied it fairly loose so that I could still turn the pages easily. I'm just tying a knot. And at this point, my scissors seem to lose their sharpness for some reason. So now I'm threading through the other one. I tied the knots and I didn't like the way they were hanging, so I ended up tying some little bows. I think some sari silk or some seam binding would look nice too. Now that there is left to do is to add the little cards. Here I'm playing around with a little bit of trim. I was thinking about wrapping some around the spine just to add something extra. But then I decided against that idea. So now we'll just put our little cards in. And that's our little book all done. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't yet joined my Facebook group and you want more free printables like this one, just check the link in the description box and come and join us. And please like and subscribe to my channel.